There's something sacred about the morning, something holy about those first few moments when the world is still quiet, when the air feels softer. Your mind hasn't yet been filled with the noise of the day. It's in those first few minutes that your life can truly begin again. Not the next year, not the next month, not even the next hour, right there in the stillness of dawn. That's the moment where change begins. That's the moment where the version of you that's been waiting to rise finally gets a chance to breathe every day. Life gives you a brand new sunrise, a fresh invitation to rewrite your story. Yet most people roll over, hit the alarm, and dive right back into yesterday's energy. They bring yesterday's pain, yesterday's fears, and yesterday's mistakes into a brand new morning. But what if, just what if, you chose differently? What if before you touched your phone, before you scrolled, before you remembered the bills, the stress, or the disappointment, you decided to meet God, to meet your higher self, to meet peace first? Morning devotion isn't about religion alone. It's about alignment. It's about creating an intimate appointment with your spirit before the world makes its demands on your body. It's about tuning your energy before you let anyone else touch it. When you start your day devoted to gratitude, to purpose, to presence, you stop reacting and start creating. You become intentional. You become powerful. You start walking through your day like someone who remembers who they are. Imagine this, you wake up before the sun. You sit in silence while everyone else is still dreaming. There's no rush, no pressure, no chaos, just breath, just awareness. You whisper, thank you. You whisper it again until it becomes the rhythm of your heartbeat. Thank you for this body. Thank you for this breath. Thank you for another chance to get it right. Gratitude becomes your first language. And in that sacred space, your heart begins to open. You can feel it. The tightness that used to live in your chest starts to soften. The doubt that kept you small begins to fade. You realize that this day, this very day, is a miracle. When you give those first few moments to devotion, your life shifts from survival to creation. Because the truth is, most people don't live their lives. They just survive their days. They rush through mornings, racing to deadlines, reacting to messages, running from one task to another. Their mornings belong to the world. Their energy belongs to everyone else. But devotion reclaims that. Devotion says, before I pour out to the world, I'll first let my soul be filled. It says, before I speak to anyone, I'll speak to God. That small, powerful decision changes everything. Maybe you've been feeling empty lately. Maybe you've been waking up tired, even after sleeping for hours. Maybe you've been asking yourself, when will my life finally feel different? Let me tell you something. It starts right there in the morning, not with a new job, not with a new relationship, not with a miracle that falls from the sky. It starts when you decide to sit still and align your spirit before the world rushes in. That's where the power is. That's where the shift begins. Your morning devotion is where you remind yourself of your worth. It's where you remember that you're not here by accident, that you've been chosen for this life, for this purpose, for this moment. It's where you tell yourself, I am enough. And you don't just say it, you feel it. You let it settle into your bones until it becomes truth. You stop looking for validation in likes and comments. You stop chasing approval. You start living from fullness instead of from fear. Because when you start your morning grounded in devotion, you don't need the world to fill you up. You're already overflowing. Some mornings you won't feel like doing it. You'll want to stay in bed. You'll want to skip it. You'll tell yourself you're too tired or too busy, but that's exactly when you need it the most. That's when devotion becomes discipline, and discipline builds transformation, because it's not what you do when it's easy that changes your life. It's what you do when it's hard. When you choose prayer over panic, peace over pressure, faith over frustration, that's where your strength is forged. Think about how many mornings you've given away to worry, how many mornings you've started by scrolling, comparing, stressing, rushing. All those mornings became the blueprint for your day. But the moment you decide, not anymore, the moment you choose stillness before chaos, love before fear, that's the moment you begin to rewrite your destiny. Every day becomes an opportunity to rise a little higher, love a little deeper, and live a little truer. Morning devotion isn't a ritual. It's a relationship. It's your meeting with the divine. It's you saying, I trust you. I surrender my plans, my fears, my need for control. It's you opening your heart and saying, wide me. When you start your day that way, the energy of your entire life begins to shift. You stop chasing outcomes and start attracting peace. You stop begging for clarity and start walking in confidence. You stop fearing what's next because you know who walks with you. There's a version of you that you haven't met yet. The one that walks in calm confidence. The one that doesn't need to prove anything. The one that radiates light in dark rooms. That version is waiting to be awakened in your morning devotion. It's waiting for you to put down the phone, turn off the noise, and just listen. Listen to the whisper that says, you are loved, you are chosen, you are enough. That whisper will remind you of your power. It will remind you that every challenge is shaping you, every delay is protecting you, and every setback is setting you up for something greater. You see, devotion builds direction. When you spend time aligning your spirit, your steps start to make sense. The confusion begins to fade. You start noticing how things fall into place, how people show up at the right time, how opportunities begin to find you. That's not luck. That's alignment. That's the power of starting your day connected to your source. Sometimes your morning devotion will bring you to tears because when you're still, you begin to feel everything you've been avoiding. The pain, the disappointment, the fear. But don't run from it. Feel it. Sit with it. Let it pass through you. Because healing can't happen in noise. It happens in silence. It happens when you stop pretending you're okay and allow your heart to be real. And in that honesty, something beautiful happens. You begin to release. You begin to forgive. You forgive yourself for what you didn't know. You forgive others for what they couldn't give. And in that forgiveness, you become free. The mornings you devote to your healing become the foundation of your future. Every time you sit in that stillness, you're rebuilding your spirit. You're teaching your mind that peace is possible. You're reminding your body that rest is holy. You're teaching your soul that joy is not something to chase. It's something to allow. Morning devotion is your declaration that you are not a prisoner of your past. You are the architect of your now. When you rise in devotion, you rise different. You walk into the world softer but stronger. You speak with more grace. You respond instead of react. You begin to see beauty where you once saw chaos. You start to notice how the sunlight feels on your face, how the wind speaks to you, how little things that once annoyed you no longer hold power over you. That's transformation. That's what happens when your morning becomes sacred. You don't have to be perfect at it. Some mornings will be messy. Some mornings your thoughts will wander and your prayers will feel empty. That's okay. Devotion is not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it. Even when your mind tells you it's pointless, because every time you show up, you're sending a message to your soul. I am worth my own time. I am worth my own attention. I am worth my own love. Over time, you'll begin to see the ripple. You'll notice how peace follows you into your workplace, how gratitude starts to flow naturally, how things that used to trigger you don't anymore. You'll realize that life didn't necessarily get easier, but you got stronger, wiser, calmer. That's the miracle of devotion. It doesn't always change your circumstances, but it always changes you. And when you change, everything else begins to shift around you. People feel your energy differently. You start attracting kindness instead of chaos. You start manifesting clarity instead of confusion. Your conversations deepen. Your connections become more genuine. You begin to walk through your day as if you're already being guided, because you are. Every morning you have two choices: rise in reaction or rise in devotion. Reaction means you let the world shape you. Devotion means you let your spirit lead. When you choose devotion, you anchor your soul before the storm comes. You remind yourself that no matter what happens today, you have a center. You have peace that cannot be taken, faith that cannot be shaken, and a love that cannot be broken. There's power in declaring your mornings sacred. There's power in saying, this time is mine. This space is mine. My peace matters. Because once you start valuing your mornings, the world starts valuing your boundaries. You no longer rush through life. You move with intention. You no longer chase validation. You move with assurance. You begin to glow differently because you've built your peace privately. Every great change starts in silence. Every breakthrough starts in stillness. Every healed heart starts with one morning of surrender. The life you're praying for, the peace you've been searching for, the clarity you've been craving, they're all waiting for you in those first few minutes of the day. That's why this morning devotion can change your life, because it's not about adding something new. It's about remembering something ancient, remembering who you are, remembering what matters, remembering that your connection to the divine is the source of your strength. The mornings when you want to give up, those are the mornings you must show up the most, because those are the days your spirit is being tested. Not to break you, but to reveal you, to show you that your faith isn't fragile, that your hope isn't hollow, that your peace doesn't depend on the world's approval. When you show up to your devotion anyway, you tell the universe, I'm ready. I'm available. I'm listening. And in response, life begins to move differently. You'll start to see little confirmations. The song that plays at the right time, the message that comes just when you need it, the problem that suddenly works itself out. These are not coincidences. These are reminders that your devotion is working, that you're no longer walking alone. You've entered partnership with something greater than yourself. Morning devotion is your power source. It fuels your faith. It ignites your purpose. It keeps you centered when the world tries to pull you apart. And the more you commit to it, the stronger it gets. Because devotion compounds. Every morning builds on the last. Every prayer adds a brick to the foundation of your peace. Every moment of gratitude expands your abundance. And one day you'll look around and realize you're living a life that feels whole. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are grounded in presence. There will come a time when your devotion doesn't just change your mornings, it changes your entire being. People will ask what's different about you. They'll feel your peace before you say a word. They'll see light in your eyes that no circumstance can dim, and you'll smile because you know the secret. It all began with one morning where you decided to connect instead of rush, to pray instead of panic, to thank instead of complain. That's how you changed your life. And even if you stumble, even if you miss a few days, remember this. Devotion doesn't demand perfection. It invites you back home. You can always begin again. Every sunrise is a reset. Every morning is mercy in motion. Don't wait for a new year or a new chapter. Your transformation starts at dawn with a single breath. A single thank you, a single act of surrender. That's all it takes to shift everything. So tomorrow morning, before you pick up your phone, before you open your messages, before you remember what's wrong, pause, close your eyes, place your hand over your heart, feel it beating. That's purpose. That's proof. Whisper, thank you. Whisper, why me? Whisper, use me today. Then stand up, stretch, and step into your day like someone who's been chosen, because you have. You are not here to rush through mornings or to barely make it through days. You are here to rise with purpose, to walk with peace, and to shine with power. You are here to be light to yourself first, then to others. And that light begins every single morning when you choose devotion over distraction, alignment over anxiety, presence over performance. One morning at a time, your life will begin to shift. One act of gratitude at a time, your heart will begin to heal. One whispered prayer at a time, your spirit will begin to rise. And when you look back weeks or months from now, you'll realize that the person you've become, the peace you carry, the confidence you exude, the calm you radiate, all of it was born from those sacred minutes when you chose to sit with your Creator instead of your chaos. That's the power of morning devotion. That's the moment where ordinary becomes divine. And when you master that, when you honor your mornings with stillness, gratitude, and faith, you won't just change your life. You'll transform your entire existence from the inside out. Every devoted morning plants a seed that blooms into a transformed life. Think about that for a moment. Each morning is fertile ground. It's a chance to plant something new, something meaningful, something sacred. When you rise with intention, when you decide that the first part of your day belongs to peace and not pressure, you're planting seeds in the soil of your spirit. Those seeds may not bloom instantly, but with time, consistency, and faith, they grow into something beautiful, something that changes how you move, how you speak, how you love, and how you see yourself. Every morning you wake up, you have two choices: to repeat or to plant. Repeating means you drag yesterday into today, carrying the same energy, the same worries, the same doubts. Planting means you use this new morning to create something different. You start small with a prayer, with a moment of silence, with a deep breath filled with gratitude. It doesn't have to be grand. Seeds are small, but their impact is powerful. You might whisper affirmations, read something inspiring, or sit quietly and just feel your heartbeat. Those small acts are seeds of devotion, and every single one of them has the potential to grow into transformation. When you devote your morning, you shift your energy before the world can claim it. You take back authority over your emotions, your focus, your peace. You decide what you want your spirit to feel before anyone else has a chance to define it for you. The moment you do that, you're planting seeds of strength, of patience, of clarity. And over time, those seeds begin to sprout into habits that change your entire life. You find yourself less reactive, more grounded, more aware. You find yourself walking through situations that once overwhelmed you with calm confidence because your roots run deep. You built them in those quiet mornings when nobody was watching. Transformation is not a single moment of magic. It's the accumulation of mornings when you chose alignment over distraction. It's not what happens overnight. It's what happens over many mornings of showing up for yourself. Each time you sit in devotion, you water the seeds you planted yesterday. You nurture them with gratitude, with intention, with prayer. And just like nature, growth happens silently. You might not see it immediately, but something inside you is shifting. Something within you is awakening. You're growing in places that used to be barren. You're developing strength where there was once struggle. You're learning to bloom in peace where there used to be panic. Every devoted morning trains your mind to see blessings where it once saw burdens. It's like tilling the soil of your spirit, removing the weeds of fear, bitterness, and regret, and making space for faith, love, and hope to grow. The mornings when you least feel like being devoted are the mornings that matter most, because that's when your spirit is learning endurance. That's when your roots are growing deeper. That's when your commitment to your growth is being tested. And when you push through those moments, when you show up anyway, your devotion becomes discipline. Discipline becomes consistency. Consistency becomes transformation. The world will always pull at you, demanding your attention, your energy, your peace. That's why morning devotion is sacred. It's your act of reclaiming yourself before the world reaches you. It's your way of saying, I choose to start in peace so that I can walk in power. Each morning that you devote, you're not just praying or meditating. You're aligning your energy with what you want your life to become. You're saying, today I plant love. Today I plant patience. Today I plant purpose. And when those seeds begin to grow, your outer world starts to mirror your inner one. Transformation doesn't begin in your schedule. It begins in your spirit. You can't change your life if your mornings are chaotic. You can't find peace if your first thought is panic. But when you choose devotion, when you wake up and make space for the divine, you begin to build a rhythm of peace. It becomes natural to pause before reacting, to breathe before speaking, to listen before judging. Your energy begins to shift from scattered to centered. You stop chasing peace and start carrying it with you. You stop waiting for joy and start creating it. That's what happens when you plant those morning seeds every day. At first, you may not notice much difference. You might even wonder if it's working, but transformation is subtle at the beginning. The seed doesn't sprout the moment it's planted. It rests underground, gathering strength, preparing for growth. The same happens within you. Your spirit starts to shift quietly. Your perspective starts to expand. You begin to respond differently to things that once triggered you. You start to wake up with more gratitude than worry. And one day, without realizing it, you'll catch yourself smiling in moments that used to make you sigh. That's the bloom. That's the fruit of your devotion. Your morning devotion becomes the garden of your transformation. Every prayer is a seed. Every moment of gratitude is sunlight. Every word of faith is water. And just like nature, the more you nurture it, the more it grows. You don't have to force it. You just have to show up. Keep tending to your spirit. Keep showing up to your devotion. Keep planting seeds of hope, peace, forgiveness, and courage. They'll take root. They'll grow through the soil of your challenges. They'll rise through the darkness until they bloom into something you never imagined possible. The beauty of planting seeds is that growth continues even when you can't see it. Some mornings you'll feel full of light, and some mornings you'll feel heavy. But even on the days when you're tired, even on the days when your faith feels small, your devotion still counts, because every act of showing up builds momentum. Every choice to start your morning in alignment strengthens your spiritual foundation. You may not see the flower yet, but something within you is growing stronger, deeper, steadier. One morning at a time, you become a new version of yourself. You start walking in confidence instead of doubt, speaking in faith instead of fear, moving in peace instead of panic. That's the evidence of your seeds taking root. The more devoted you are, the more natural it becomes to live from your highest self. Your mornings set the tone for your life, and your life begins to mirror your mornings. Devotion becomes not just something you do, but who you are. It becomes the soil where your purpose thrives, the water that nourishes your dreams, and the sunlight that gives your soul the courage to bloom. Consistency in devotion builds confidence in destiny. Because devotion is not a one-time moment. It's a daily choice. It's a sacred rhythm that you build. A habit that shapes your energy and your future. When you show up for your spirit again and again, no matter how you feel, no matter how busy life becomes, you begin to build trust within yourself. You begin to believe that you are capable of sustaining peace, sustaining growth, sustaining faith, and that belief becomes the foundation of confidence. Confidence that your life is moving in the right direction. Even when you can't see the full picture yet, consistency in devotion doesn't mean you'll always feel connected or inspired. It means you keep showing up even when it feels ordinary, because devotion is not about emotion. It's about commitment. There are days when your mind will be distracted, when your prayers feel hollow, when your thoughts wander. But those are the moments that strengthen your faith the most. Those are the mornings when you prove to yourself that you're not here for temporary inspiration. You're here for transformation. And transformation requires consistency, the small repeated moments of surrender, the quiet acts of gratitude, the stillness you choose day after day. Those are what shape your destiny. Every time you wake up and choose to be still, to align your energy, to connect with something higher than yourself, you're laying another brick in the path towards your purpose. It's not the grand moments that define your life. It's the simple ones that you repeat with intention. Each morning of devotion builds spiritual muscle. It teaches you patience. It strengthens your resilience. It roots your faith deeper. It reminds you that the same power that woke you up is the same power guiding your steps. You begin to develop quiet confidence The kind that doesn't need validation, because you know that destiny isn't a distant dream. It's being shaped in your daily devotion. Consistency is what separates those who wish for peace from those who live in peace. You can read all the books, listen to all the teachings, and make all the promises. But if you don't show up every day to water your spirit, nothing will grow. Just like a plant doesn't thrive from occasional care, your soul doesn't thrive from occasional connection. It needs consistency. It needs daily nourishment. It needs that steady flow of energy that says, "Will meet myself here every morning." No matter what the world brings, when you become consistent in your devotion, you begin to feel grounded. You stop being swayed by every storm because you know where your roots are. You stop doubting the process because you've built evidence that peace follows presence, that clarity follows stillness, that blessings follow devotion. There's a certain confidence that rises inside you when you've been consistent in your mornings. It's not arrogance. It's not ego. It's assurance. It's the calm knowing that no matter what happens during the day, you've already set your foundation. You've already met your source. You've already spoken your gratitude and aligned your heart. That's what consistency does. It teaches your nervous system that you are safe, that you are guided, that you are supported. And when your body and mind begin to believe that truth, you stop moving from fear and start moving from faith. When you practice devotion consistently, destiny stops feeling like something far away. It starts to feel like something you're walking into every day. Because every time you sit in silence, every time you whisper gratitude, every time you listen to that inner voice, you're aligning yourself with your higher purpose. You're tuning your energy to the frequency of what you're becoming. Confidence in destiny doesn't come from knowing all the steps. It comes from trusting that each day of devotion is a step in the right direction. You might not see the whole map, but you trust the compass. You trust the pull of your spirit. Some days, consistency will feel easy. Other days, it will feel heavy. Life will test your patience, your faith, your timing. But even in those moments, your devotion becomes your anchor. It reminds you that peace isn't found in circumstances, it's found in connection. It reminds you that growth isn't always visible. It's happening beneath the surface. The more you show up, the more you begin to trust the unseen. You start to recognize patterns, how doors open when you stay faithful, how answers come when you remain patient, how strength grows when you stay rooted, and that recognition builds confidence. You stop doubting your path because you've seen the evidence of alignment working through your life. Confidence in destiny isn't about having certainty. It's about having peace in the uncertainty. It's the kind of confidence that says, I don't know exactly where this is leading, but I know I'm being led. And that kind of peace can only come from consistency, because the more you practice devotion, the more you recognize the voice of guidance. You start to feel when you're in alignment, and when you're not, you start to sense when your energy is off and how to bring it back. You start to move with purpose instead of pressure. That's the quiet confidence that blossoms from daily devotion. When you make devotion a lifestyle instead of an occasional act, your relationship with yourself changes. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to honor your word. You begin to rely on your own ability to find peace. That's powerful. Because so many people lose confidence, not because life is too hard, but because they've broken promises to themselves. But when you show up for your devotion day after day, you rebuild that trust. You prove to yourself that you can be counted on, that you are committed to your growth, that you are serious about your healing, and that trust becomes confidence, not just in yourself, but in your destiny. You start to notice how the things that once felt impossible begin to unfold naturally. You stop forcing outcomes and start flowing with life. You understand that what's meant for you doesn't need to be chased. It will meet you when you're aligned. And alignment is born from consistency. It's in those quiet mornings where you remind yourself, I am here, I am guided, I am enough, over and over until it becomes your truth. That repetition shapes your reality. Your words begin to manifest. Your energy begins to attract peace instead of chaos. Consistency in devotion teaches you patience with the process, because not every seed you plant will bloom immediately. But when you keep showing up, you're demonstrating faith. You're declaring that even when you can't see results, you still believe. And that belief builds the kind of inner confidence that can't be shaken by time or delay. It's the faith that says, if I keep walking in light, I will reach what's mine. That's how confidence in destiny grows. It's watered daily by your devotion. The truth is, destiny doesn't arrive all at once. It unfolds layer by layer, day by day, through small moments of surrender and steady devotion. You don't wake up one morning and suddenly arrive at your purpose. You grow into it through years of quiet consistency. Every morning of prayer, every moment of gratitude, every breath of surrender, all of it weaves together to create the tapestry of your destiny. The confidence you feel isn't built on outcomes. It's built on the unwavering faith that your devotion is guiding you exactly where you need to be. So you keep showing up, you keep aligning, you keep practicing peace until it becomes your default. You keep choosing devotion until it becomes your nature, because every consistent act of faith builds unshakable confidence, and every moment of devotion moves you one step closer to destiny. When you give God your first moments, the rest of your day aligns with grace. Those first few minutes after you wake up are the most powerful ones of your entire day. They decide what energy you carry, what thoughts you feed, and what emotions you live from. When you dedicate those moments to something higher than yourself, you invite peace to be your foundation instead of chaos. You hand your plans, your worries, and your expectations over to divine timing and say, "Lead me." That simple act of surrender changes everything. It's not about how long you spend in prayer or meditation. It's about where your heart is when you do it. When your first words are gratitude, when your first thought is faith, when your first breath is awareness, your entire day begins to flow differently. When you give those early moments to God, you are reminding yourself that you don't have to carry the weight of the world alone. You are reminding yourself that your strength doesn't come from control, but from trust. It's easy to wake up and immediately start worrying about what needs to be done, what might go wrong, or what hasn't yet worked out. But when you pause and say, before anything else, I will sit with peace, you're placing your life in divine order. You start your day in alignment, and alignment attracts grace. It attracts calm where there was confusion, patience where there was pressure, and guidance where there was uncertainty. Every time you give those first moments to God, you make room for miracles to move through your day. You stop chasing validation and you start following peace. You stop trying to fix everything and you start trusting that what's meant for you is already finding its way. Grace begins to go before you, opening doors that your effort alone could never unlock. People sense your calm. Situations shift in your favor. You handle challenges with a quiet confidence because you've already anchored yourself in presence before the world could touch your mind. Those few minutes of devotion are not lost time. They are sacred preparation. They build the energy that carries you through the rest of the day. When you begin your morning with faith, you move differently. You speak with more kindness. You listen with more patience. You work with more clarity. You make decisions from peace instead of pressure. Grace becomes the atmosphere around you. And you begin to experience life as a partnership rather than a struggle. The more you practice giving your first moments to the divine, the more naturally you begin to live in flow. Your mornings stop being rushed. Your mind stops being scattered. And your heart starts to lead. The world doesn't control your rhythm anymore. You move with grace because grace now moves through you.